Okay, so, before we even start the episode, I want to make something very clear right from the beginning. I did not like this episode. In my opinion, this has been the worst episode of the volume so far. It was terrible. And you're allowed to have your own opinions. You're allowed to disagree with me and whatever. You may think differently. You may think episode 3 was the worst. Who cares? Episode 2, last episode. It doesn't matter. But in my opinion, this was the worst. And I am very disappointed because this was the one we're getting, first numbers are getting, before the Christmas hiatus. And to end on such a boring note before having such a long break is really, really lame, in my opinion. So let's get into the actual episode so I can explain and justify why I did not like this episode so much. So, okay, it's really... It's death by 1,000 paper cuts. It's a bunch of little things that really grind my gears with this episode, on top of it being very boring and not character-driven at all. Like this first scene. Why is Oscar here? I feel like they're just kind of shoving him randomly into places to, pretend to give him a character. Why are Blake and Yang sitting like this? Everyone else is sitting people in chairs, but it's weirdly manly positions for Blake and Yang over there. It's to the point that I noticed it. The fact that they were the only ones who had, a special stylized seating position compared to everyone else, and neither of their poses are flattering. Come on, you guys don't have dicks and balls, your legs don't need to be 1,000 miles apart.
You really think your dad might have something to do with Salem?
The election has not been compared to Salem at all throughout this entire volume, and now suddenly it's how did Robin lose the election? How could my father have won? And Yang's you think it was Salem, don't you? And I'm why are you just throwing Salem out here? This has just kind of popped up randomly out of nowhere. Salem has only been talked about in connection to the new satellite, not the election at all. It's weird that they just throw that out there randomly. This one's really minor, but I kinda wish everyone had, formal attire. Mostly the Aesops. Everyone else, I get if they're, kids, and that's, what they normally wear anyway. But the Aesops, that's, uniforms.
Suppose we should smile for the cameras?
Sir, with all due respect, you'd have to pay me.
What cameras? We don't see any camera crew inside or outside of the manor at all. Isn't, a metaphorical smile for the cameras? See, it's these little things that I'm talking about. These little details that are just really, they build up. They add up. Now, I don't want to just shit on everything in this episode. I do like the moment where Crow denies a drink, because I felt like his I'm not alcoholic anymore. It was a little convenient. It was just and suddenly it's over. And that's not how it usually works, but it's a plot point that I didn't want to see dragged out, and little moments like that is nice. Because there's always that temptation when you quit some sort of big addiction, alcohol especially, and hinting at it was nice. The fact that Crow wasn't, yes, I demand, I will never. It was the fact that you saw it and you heard. He had to think about it for a second, and he had to turn himself away. That was a nice little moment. So I'm assuming what Marrow means here is, he doesn't like the racism he's seeing here. It doesn't come across as racist. They're being paid. These workers right here, they're not slaves, they're being paid to do this job. It doesn't matter what race you are. And also, on top of that, this bunny guy that they look at is the only faunus we see working here. All the other, waiters and staff that we see aren't faunus. So why is just this one guy upsetting Marrow? Blake didn't get upset. If you're gonna have racism elements, make sure it's actually racism elements, not just pretending it is. This isn't related to this episode, but is anyone else disappointed at how little screen time the Aesops have gotten since episode 3? We spent all this time setting them up, and they seemed so cool, and then they just kind of vanished. They're in the background more than anything. I don't know, that's disappointing. I like the Aesops. I want to see more of them. So what, did Whitley just, take the guys over to the dining room and then scurry upstairs and then waddle back downstairs real quickly to catch up to his sister? The fact that he's coming from downstairs is so confusing. The first time I watched the episode, I thought it was, he greets them at the door, he's smarmy, he walks away, just to immediately turn around and walk right back to them. Why not have him stuck to them the entire time? Why have him walk away at all? The blocking doesn't make sense. The setup for the characters and what they're doing doesn't make sense. And it was at this point in time that I first had a couple of red flags Because, like, the nitpicky things in the beginning, they really were that. There was nitpicks. There was just little minor things that I thought were weird, but usually doesn't bother me to that big of a point. Now it feels lazy, though. It feels a little too convenient. It's just, there's better ways of doing it, and the scene doesn't get any better from here. Worst of all, Weiss's mother, later in the episodes, kind of implies that, like, he really wanted to hang out with Weiss, apparently, or something like that. I don't know. That he ended up being such a nasty little shit because she left him alone.
Whitley wants nothing to do with me.
Of course not. You left him alone. With us.
First of all, she was only gone for like a year at Beacon. She stayed at Atlas the entire time before that. And also, that's not fair. Like, if you have older siblings, they move out. You have to deal with having that person who lives with you move out. That's a very common thing. To have them blame her for leaving and continuing her life and trying to further her career is the reason why Whitley's a little piece of shit to her. Like, that's stupid. That's not how that works at all. That's, you're punishing Weiss for doing what she wanted and not punishing Whitley for acting like a brat. And this whole, it doesn't make sense, because, like, why is he bothering to talk to her anyway? It's set up like he's trying to stop Weiss from investigating or finding something, but Whitley, A, doesn't know if there's anything to be found, and B, why would he know that? That's why she's here for. Why, if she wanted to, like, the way they could have done it better, rather than just have him stand in front of her and, like, be an ass and ask questions, it would have been better if she was trying to walk around and he followed her. So then they could have been mobile throughout the episode and maybe turn their conversation into an actual conversation. Like, really, because their relationship is non-existent at this point. As a brother and sister, he's just an asshole and she doesn't like him. That's all we've ever seen of them. If we would have had them, like, actually go upstairs and she's trying to, like, do something and, like, ditch him, but he's, like, insisting on sticking around, maybe we could have had a conversation that actually developed their relationship as siblings. Maybe even hint at a point in time where they were, like, close with each other. So then when Willow says at the end of the episode, it would make a little bit more sense, to be a bit more poignant. But no. And, ooh, this scene. The rest of the scene plays out so cringy, and I don't like throwing the word around. I don't like using the word cringy, because I feel like it over time it has lost its meaning, and people just throw it constantly, like, Blake and Yang are so cringy. Wow, the new outfits are so cringy. Cringy has a meaning, and I mean it this time. It's cringy. And I've talked about the comedy at length before, but we're in the middle of this very serious conversation with the council, and we cut away to, whoa, Nora's gonna spill her food, wow, they're all in on it, what a master plan. Why was that your plan? Why was it done so stupidly? Like, you did this as if it's a Looney Tunes cartoon. I don't know why you do that, especially interrupting a very important scene with the general and the council. That's the plot. That's the plot we care about. And then right after, you're, wow, I spilled it all over the fat lady. We cut right back to that very important scene with the council, and we never see Nora or Jean or any of Team RWBY or fucking Whitley again throughout the episode. How is that the thing you thought was a good idea at the end of the day? If you really wanted to, oops, we spilled shit on you, so that's why you gotta leave, then, like, you don't need to make it this wacky mega Nora tower of food. That makes no sense. Why would you do that? Why would you think it's not funny? There's no joke. Just walk up and, like, drop a glass of champagne on him. It doesn't matter. Ren just trips and smushes his s'more into his shirt. I don't know. Anything. You didn't need to be this grandiose and wacky for such a nothing conflict in the first place. The entire setup of Whitley talking to Weiss is wasted, and then the resolution of that whole conflict was cringy and awful and terrible and made no sense. And why would you do that? I really hate this episode. Here's another thing. Why in the world would you fucking invite Penny to this party? Yes, I know, she didn't do it. They can prove she didn't do it, they already proved it, it's been doctored, they all know that already. Penny is bad PR. She is terrible PR. Of course Jacques gonna target her while they're sitting there. I'm not fucking surprised about it. Shit, they assumed she was murdering people. Why would you bring her at all? It doesn't matter if you trust her or not, she's not a good look in such a public space like this. And it's fine to stand by her and, like, stand up for her, be her friend, and defend her against the others, but do not bring her to this kind of event. Of course it's only just gonna be trouble. It doesn't matter if she's your second in command or whatever, she's bad looking right now. People hate her, people want to kill her and dismantle her. Don't bring her here. Why would you do that? It's only putting you in a bad situation, and putting Penny in a really bad, awkward, uncomfortable situation. She already feels like shit for everything that happened. Why would you do this? It's the fact that it feels like they didn't think about anything happening in this episode. Whitley talks to Weiss. Then they talk to Jacques, and Penny's there, so Jacques can say this. It's like, you're just giving them, like, everything they need to shit on Ironwood. And I liked the fact that they are shitting on Ironwood. The part of this episode I really do like is that we see the culmination of Ironwood's secrets crippling him, really. None of them trust him, and Jacques really is right. Winter's outburst later about trust, Jacques is right. They have no reason to trust Ironwood, because Ironwood is an idiot and should have just told them about the tower in the first place. So I understand not wanting to divulge everything right away. You know, the whole Salem thing was the big detail you wanted to keep secret, but why did you not tell anybody else what your plan was with the Amity Coliseum? It's just because you made it obvious you were doing something big and important over there, but you didn't tell anybody what it was. Of course they're going to be suspicious of you. Of course they're not going to understand and trust what you're doing now. If you just said, we're building a new tower, if anything, that would be a great PR move. That would make people love you. We're building a new tower. It will receive communication around the world again. We're fixing what happened at Beacon. Yay! Yay! That looks good for you, and is a good thing, like, actually, for the world. I don't know why Ironwood insisted on keeping it secret this entire time in the first place. The tower has been the muddiest plot point of this volume. The politics, of which I don't know the rules for, or how the government system works, has made more sense than the plot of put a satellite in the sky. Because it makes no sense why Ironwood lied about it in the first place, it makes no sense why RWBY lied to him about it in the first place, and yet right after that she's right on his side. We gotta finish the tower, do it right away, finish the tower. It makes no fucking sense, other than they needed an excuse to corner Ironwood in a web of lies. And that is the culmination of this episode. I like seeing that culmination, but if you really start sitting down and thinking about it, it makes no sense. The only thing Ironwood didn't want people to know about yet was Salem, until they were ready and had all their forces and dust and military ready to protect them when they panic. That was it. Now, and like in the last episode, he's like, well, we can't tell them about the tower because they might sabotage it. Well, it's obvious you're doing something there anyway. Robin has been spying on you for a while, apparently. She figured out something was weird. She's been stopping your shipments. Who's to say, like, Watts won't fucking do something now? That's the people you're worried about. And if it's been so obvious you're doing something at Amity, if Watts and Tyrion wanted to do something to fuck it up, they would have done it by now. I hate this episode because it's making me hate elements of the episodes prior that I was fine with. Like, yeah, the things with the tower was confusing and mildly annoying, but it didn't seem enough to bother me. Now, as the culmination here, and we're putting so much emphasis on it, now it's bothering me. And that's why I hate this episode, because it's making me hate episodes, like, in hindsight. And I don't like that. I've liked this volume a lot so far. This has been maybe my second favorite volume, and up until this point, I was convinced it might replace it and become my first favorite volume. But after this episode, I'm not so sure. After seeing how the plot has fucked itself at this point, I'm not so sure. Little thing, I hate Jacques' voice actor. He does not voice Jacques well. Oh, what's that? My character is supposed to be villainous? Alright then, I'll say every line like I'm slurping on a slug. Big, slimy, drawn-out, evil voice. This is what you sound like when you're evil, right? You sound slow and melancholic and like you know everything. Like, really? 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 that was the direction we went with this character. And we have an entire, very long, very annoying scene with this character voicing every single one of his lines this way. Really? That's how we decided to go with this? Okay, and here's this is another really stupid thing about this episode. Jacques is all like, have you figured out who's killing people yet? Okay, why would that be up to Ironwood? He is a general of the military and a headmaster at a school. He is not a detective. That's not his fucking job. You can say that's the Aesops, sure, and they work for him, sure, but that is not up to him to know or to figure out. Why aren't you getting off your fucking dumb ass and figuring it out, Jacques? Because you seem to have just as much power as figuring that out as he does. Why isn't Cordo on the case? She's a general. She is the same ranking as Ironwood. Why not fly her over and have her figure it out? Because on top of that, why would you ask the person who's being framed to find the killer? That is not how that works. If in real life a cop is framed for killing someone, that cop is not allowed to work on the case to figure out what happened, just in case there is a cross of interest. So why would you expect Ironwood to be figuring out who's doing these killings? That's not his job. He has other very important things to be doing. General shit. Stuff with the army. Taking care of an entire fucking school, which seems to be in session at the moment. Team Funky's here. They're still in school. So I think it's still in session. Why would you be like, hey, yo, fucking teacher man, figure out who's killing people? Everything else of this argument on Jacques' side makes sense. But the whole, like, why haven't you figured out who's killing people yet? That just seems fucking lazy. That just seems like they wanted another thing to say. If they wanted to incorporate that topic into this conversation, it should have been, can we trust you to know if you really are being framed? Who's to say you're not sending out Penny or Winter or the Aesops to kill these people to make you say some PR thing to make you seem more likable and like you're being framed or something like that. Anything to like put him in a bad light other than, why haven't you found the murderer? Because that's just asinine. That is idiotic. That does not make sense. In any context of any world, that does not make sense. Oh, and here we are. What we've all finally been waiting for, the reveal of Mama Schnee. I can cross that off my bingo board. It's Willow. Okay, so first of all, as a standard of film, when we get introduced to a character, you show us the character. We don't get a good look at her face, or even her person, for way too long into actually introducing her into Weiss's conversation here. Why would you not have a close-up after Weiss turns around that first time? Why we gotta wait so long? I'm just sitting there squinting at my screen going, what the fuck does she look like? What does she look like? And I have, oh, don't worry, I have way more problems with Mama Schnee, just you wait. But, like, this conversation is dead air. Nothing is happening. This is really the culmination of everything I hate about this episode. This episode is an episode of wasted potentials. Nothing introduced was executed in a way that was interesting at all, to the point where even the small things started to bother me. Like, why did we not have a conversation with Whitley and Weiss? Why is the council so small and, like, they're all hating on Ironwood? It's just, why is Robin there? She seems completely superfluous to the scene. And then now here, it's like, you know, why is this conversation nothing? Nothing happens with this conversation. Nothing they say is worthwhile other than, hey, guess what? I have cameras, so you can see that one scene where we saw in, like, episode 3. Isn't that cool? I guess, yeah. But that's it? You're just here to be like, it's me, your mom. Okay, that was cool, bye, I guess. Like, they don't talk to each other at all. And I can understand, an idea of it is that Weiss doesn't want to talk to her. She has no idea what to say to her. They have a bad relationship to begin with, but I wish they would have said something. I just remember sitting there watching the scene, and it ended, and I was like, that was it? I got to the end of the episode, and I was like, that was it? Why? It doesn't make any sense, and none of it makes sense. The parts that do make sense are boring or annoying, and it's just wasted potential. Why is Watts turning off the heat? They know the Schnee Company is in charge of the heat. Weiss said it in an earlier episode. So why are they turning the heat off? Because Weiss also said this in an earlier episode.
Without heating or a projected aura, the cold of Solitas can kill you in a matter of hours.
So what's the point? You're on the council. Why fuck over the people of Mantle more? What are you gaining from that? It might not be Jacques is gaining something, but why is Watts doing that now? What is the reason? That's the problem. We don't have any fucking idea what the villains are ever fucking doing. They can do any random thing, and I can sit there and be, oh no! But I'm like, but why? Why? That makes no fucking sense. What do you gain from doing this? Would the better idea not be gain Winters' trust, or break in and steal the Winter Maiden, or something? Because all they care about is getting the relic. Why fucking fuck over all the people of Mantle? And if they do that, all it's gonna do is make Jacques look shitty, because Jacques was the one who's like, I'll get you your jobs back, and everything will be cool if you vote for me. Well, yeah, we did. We voted for you. Why are you turning off our heat now? It makes no sense. I hate it. Everything is bad about this episode. Why did Team RWBY not do anything? They showed up, they sat there, and then they watched Nora fumble food on top of Whitley, and then they laughed, and that was the end. They didn't do anything? They didn't, split off and talk to anybody else? This episode is just ass. It's just shit. And this problem is, I don't like shitting on RWBY. I don't like hating it this much. But I finished the episode this morning, and I was sitting there and I'm like, that was a bad episode. I didn't like that. And I was like, well, why didn't I like it? I'm like, well, I guess it was boring. And then I was thinking about it, I'm like, oh, yeah, it was boring. But it didn't have to be. There have been other slightly boring episodes throughout this volume. Last episode was kind of boring. Episode 4 was a little boring. But I didn't shit on those episodes because where it was boring and slow, we had good character moments. We had strong interactions between our core cast. And we got none of that. Nothing anyone said throughout this episode was worthwhile at all. The closest I could get was when Penny talked to Winter about Winter blowing up at Jacques. But even then, that conversation was 5 lines of dialogue between the two of them, and it was just half-assed. We didn't do anything. None of these characters did anything. Why did we have all fucking million of these characters in the scene if none of them are gonna do anything? The Aesop's are here. Why? I don't know, because they haven't done anything in a couple episodes. Team RWBY's here. What are they gonna do? Stand around and do fucking nothing. I don't... Why is it... Weiss, you're the only one who can snoop around and find clues. Well, can you guys not talk to other people? Do anything else? Go with Weiss? I bet if she, wanders into a worker, they're gonna be like, who's this person? You can be like, this is my teammate. Do anything? Literally anything. There was nothing good about this episode. It annoyed me so much, and it's annoying because it's been so good up until now, and I was honestly excited to see what was going to be the episode they leave us off on, and it was this? Really? There's nothing I'm looking forward to with the next episode. Literally nothing. I have so low expectations. I don't expect anything good to happen. I don't expect any good character interactions. I definitely don't expect it to be funny. They have no fucking idea what they're doing with comedy this volume. Oh my gosh, it's painful. I don't get it. Why? Why? Was this joke? Was this a joke quota? Well, we need one more joke in our jokey joke volume jokes. Just Nora's gonna drop them all on Whitley, but oh no, she drops them all on a fat lady instead. Oh, but then she spills her drinks on Whitley. Wah, wah, wah. It all worked out. It was so bad. It just annoyed me. This is the worst episode of the volume. I've seen other people say otherwise, and whatever. You're allowed to have your opinion. You're entitled to that. You can if you disagree with me, I really want to hear your comments. What fucking feasible, valuable thing was in this episode for you? Because I hated every single second of it. I did not want to watch it again to record my audio. I don't want to watch it again to record the footage. It was bad, and every time I watch it, I just find more things that I hate about it. I started watching this time, and I'm like, well, why is Blake and Yang sitting like that in the beginning? Because I came in with such angry, negative connotations, because I know how bad it gets. It's boring. It makes no sense. Jacques has a terrible voice actor, yet he's a prominent figure during this episode. They have no good conversations. They waste 90% of their characters. We finally see Weiss's mom, and they do fucking nothing with her. And I don't No. Why? Because it's been so good up until now, and there's so much possibilities with all of these elements. They could have done 1,000 different things with all these, like, characters, all these pieces of this puzzle, to make this an actually really compelling episode, but they didn't! And I'm sorry this was such a negative review. I don't like doing angry negative reviews like this. But this episode really got under my skin, and it's really disappointing, especially this volume has been good. I've enjoyed this volume. I really have. Probably the episode I liked the least before now was episode 2, because there was a lot of standing around and I didn't think it was funny, but there was something of value. We were setting up the plot. We got some kind of good information there. It's just this, episode 8, more than halfway through the volume, and we're giving something like this? It's just disappointing. And I really hope this is a low point. I hope this is the worst episode of the volume. Is this the worst episode of all time? No, not by a long shot. Menagerie from Volume 4 was worse. Rest and Resolutions from Volume 5 was worse. You know, there's things out there that are bad. Most of the Volume 5 finale. This wasn't the worst ever, but knowing what the rest of the volume has been, and knowing what this episode could be, is probably what makes it hurt so bad. Because it could have been much, much better than what we got. And I'm disappointed that this is what we got. I guess I'll have to wait for next time, and I hope it's better. If you like my content, and you want to help support me, I do have a Patreon. Any and all contributions are greatly, greatly appreciated, and it makes you an amazing, awesome person. I really want to know your thoughts on this episode, especially if you liked it. Tell me what your thoughts were. I want to know everything. Leave your answers in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.